Alright, what's going on, guys? Funky JK here, and today I'm going to be talking about the reasons why I'm skipping Battle for Azeroth, World of Warcraft's newest expansion. I don't know if it's the fact that MMOs failed to adapt or if I got too old to play them. I have it all written down on my phone here, so bear with me that I'm reading off my phone. Uh, 6 years ago, Azeroth felt like a second home. But now in 2018, I'm not even planning on buying Battle for Azeroth World of Warcraft's latest expansion. I was 12 years old in 8th grade when Mist of Pandaria dropped for World of Warcraft in 2012. Like many fans my age, I dove head first, rushing to get raid ready, and I was in deep and stayed that way for about 2 years. That was not an uncommon thing for most of us that came of age during the MMO boom of the early 2010s. I've bought every new World of Warcraft expansion since then, intending on getting up to speed with the end game again. But as soon as I hit the level cap, I just stop. It's not that I'm not having fun playing the game. It's just the fact that it's not. It's just the fact that I make the conscious decision not on a day to not log in, and at some point I quit for a day and I never log in again, leaving my subscription fees to pile up until I remember to finally cancel it a few months later. I'm not going to do that this time. 11 years after my brush with MMO servitude. Sorry, not 11. 6 years after my last brush with MMO servitude, I've been struggling to regain that feeling of wanting to do everything that games of that magnitude have to offer, and I'm definitely not the only Azeroth expat to feel this way. Times have changed, and along with them both my tastes and expectations for modern loot-driven games have changed, and I'm looking for something very different that I used to with MMOs. Even when I know I still want to ride a loot grind of some kind. I've gotten used to the rapid, consistent gratification of games like Warframe and Diablo 3, not just a grand scale assault on one big enemy for a potential of one huge dropped item. MMOs are often less about regular rewards and more about building up to one massive moment. But is it too much to ask for both? World of Warcraft isn't the only game I've struggled to get it back into in recent years. I've tried Final Fantasy XIV. I've given the Elder Scrolls Online a shot. Guild War 2's is still sitting installed on my hard drive. I bought the Destiny Special Edition on Xbox One when it came out, and not just because I like the white color. And you better believe I picked up Destiny 2 when that came out. I've hovered over the dark world of Black Desert Online more times than I'd like to admit, and I can't find a way to convince myself to commit to any of them, at least not in the way I'd like to. None of them have managed to find that balance between tiny yet significant rewards and the feelings of a early 2010s raid attempt. Once a player hits the level cap, blue and yellow items in hand from questing, the process of filling out your inventory with those purple epic pieces of gear feels like an insurmountable task, even if it is as simple as running a few dungeons to get a chance of picking that up. There's little in the way of clear objectives for success. Part of the problem is my own fault. When I play multiplayer games, I want to go hard. I want to experience everything a game has to offer. I want to raid in World of Warcraft, climb the ladders in League of Legends, have all the best cards in Hearthstone, and get all that awesome, sweet fucking loot in Diablo 3. My brain doesn't allow me to play these games casually, as one would say, just taking in the sights and sounds of the world. I need those numbers to go up, and I need them to continue to go up. And I'm often looking for a game to give me a push, to give me the push I need to get that hardcore status. It's not really an issue of time either, sure. I'm 17 years old and have young adult responsibilities like school and a job, and what passes for a social life in rural Pennsylvania. But I find time to play multiplayer games. I've played hundreds of hours on Diablo 3 and League of Legends, well, thousands on that one. Since the last time I played an MMO in a serious way, I still love to learn complex games enough to spend the time becoming an expert in them. It's just MMOs don't inspire me in the same in that same feeling anymore. I won't speak for everyone because Battle for Azeroth sold a massive 3.4 million copies in its first day of release. After all, but I can say that most of my former World of Warcraft compatriots are in the same boat as me. So why do we keep spending money chasing that MMO dream when we were fully aware that we would never return to our youthful exuberance? Do we keep trying? You can't go back, but maybe the genre needs to come forward. Probably because I still believe that there's that one MMO that's going to get me back into the genre, but what would that look like? I'm a known Warframe player, and Diablo 3 takes over my life anytime I decide to roll a new seasonal character, but even those amazing grindy, loot-focused games don't quite scratch the same itch as a full-blown MMORPG. Now, I believe that MMOs need the same pace or of their more pure loot counterparts. Those set pieces and long-ass raids are intrinsic to the experience of this genre. I wish I could get the same satisfaction out of an hour of World of Warcraft as I do from a few spy mission runs in Warframe. Modern game design has gotten good enough to deliver the same feeling in a shorter amount of time. The more adult my gaming patterns become, the more I need that quick dopamine hit of regular rewards for long-term commitments, with more disposable income and more access to games, largely thanks to school and work. It takes a lot for me to find the willingness to commit to something that takes over a life as much as an MMO. With less time to play games overall, I need something that respects and rewards me for my time. Maybe one of the reasons we play fewer MMOs when we're older is that we don't have to earn, or we don't have to. Earning more money and setting your own schedule means that you have more options about what to do and play. Of course, that means we don't spend as much time on games as we did when we were kids. It might seem contrary to the spirit of that last point, but the most I've played in an MMO as of late is the mobile-focused Lineage 2 Revolution. Yes, a game that effectively plays itself, but it scratched that massively multiplayer itch. It's a huge open-world game with a wide variety of things to do. Even if they all end up feeding into the same power stat, it's got that cooldown focused gameplay that the MMO part of my brain digs, crossed with the instant gratification of loot titles. Even if many of those little loot drops only have a tiny impact on my character's power level, there are even late game raids, something missing from even the most boss focused loot games. And you know what? The autoplay feature of that game gives a player a direct path to the end game, something that is surprisingly comforting. But even my time with the most auto-questing MMO out there came to an end. It just wasn't active enough to keep me engaged for a play period. But hey, it was a good few weeks. And that ability to enjoy a game for what it is, only to leave it behind when it's no longer as enjoyable, means that the long-term commitment to MMOs is much harder to maintain. I'm looking for something very different than what I used to in MMOs. For me to get back into an MMO like I did in my youth, it's going to take a combination of all things I love about gear-driven games. It'll need the constant gratification for pure loot games, the set pieces for more traditional MMOs, and strong moment-to-moment gameplay. It's not enough to have thousands of quests resulting in little more than a bump in experience and a few coins in my bag. It'll only help if there's a clear, direct path to the end game. But these kind of thoughts are hard to untangle. Is it the game design that's changed, or have I? Which needs to adapt more to get back to what I used to enjoy in this genre? I really do wish a genre would lock me in again. It's been too long since I've been enveloped by a new world, and with some of the leaps in loot game design, I feel confident that a developer is going to be able to draw me in eventually. The only problem is whether or not I'll be ready to meet it halfway. Give it the attention it needs. With my evolving gaming habits right now, I think it would be. It's been too long since I stepped foot in a 25-player raid, unsure if we had the firepower to bring down the big monster, standing in front of my guild. I miss it. And I don't think I'm alone.